Hey there! Hello kids, Kermit the Frog here, and today we're going to be counting to 6. 1, 5, 6. In a way, LM1, classic pens, LB5, and 6, LB6. Now we have to talk about, we have a lot to talk about. I saw the LB6 for the first time at the DC Pen Show 2017. I talked to Andreas Lambrou, interesting, very pleasant conversation. My review of the LB5 came up, pen I really enjoy, and he said, well, can I lend you this so that you can review that pen? And I said, sure. So here we are with the Lambrou pens / classic pens LB6. They're named after virtues. This is the essence. They come in the same diffusion bonded acrylic as the LB5s and the LM1s. And here we have the LB6. So this happens to be number 00, but this is the essence, and clearly that's the brown diffusion bonded acrylic, which is very nice, very warm. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then we'll do a writing sample. But before I do that, a little bit more about this pen, because with these types of pens, there's typically a lot to talk about. So the cap, the barrel, the section, and the clip are all handmade by Paul Rossi, who makes very nice pens. Highly limited edition, only 10 pens of each color. Notice how I hold up my hand so that in case I drop this, I will actually catch this one. And this is the brown one, right? That's clear. So handmade parts. Then you have some options. You can have these pens in silver trims or in vermeil trims like this, which is sterling silver with gold on top. So that's all that gold. And then you can have the pens with or without facets, and this happens to be the faceted model, which you can see there. Now I like facets on a pen because they can bring out the luster of a material very well. For example, look at the Omas Paragon in the Arco finish, that really highlights the material, and I think that happened here too. Okay, I think that's what I needed to say. I'll come back to some more details as I cover them. Very first, the top of the pen, the Finial, same material as the rest of the pen. Large cap, also faceted. Center band, vermeil gold. So yeah, vermeil, that's silver and gold. Clip, handmade by Paul Rossi. Has some texture to it. And the silver is treated in such a way that it doesn't really matter how thick the pocket is. You put this in, overcoat, dress coat, shirt, doesn't matter. The silver will adapt, so the cap shouldn't flip, what do you call that, fly off, snap, etc. Center band, large center band that says Lambrou pens, the classic pens logo. It says LB6, it says Essence, the name of this particular virtue, every virtue being a color. It also says sterling silver 926, and in this case it says 00 of 10. As I said, very limited edition of these pens. Alright, big pen overall. Before we go to the barrel, the LB6 is, the LB5 is actually, I think, a smidgen longer when it is capped, but when uncapped they're almost the same size. The LB6 is just thicker, it has more girth. Barrel, same facets, and handmade facets too. And then this end cap, it looks a little bit like it's a piston turning knob, but it's a cartridge converter filled pen, so no turning that, please. Cap unscrews. I think let me see, I thought I'd come up with something like 2, yeah, it's actually 3. 1, 2, 3 full turns, which is quite a bit. Section is black, and then we have the nib. The nib is a Bock nib, and this is a number 8 nib, so it's actually quite big. Now it doesn't look very big because the pen is very large, but if you hold it side by side to an LM1, then you can definitely see that that is a larger nib. 18K, it's called Semi-Flex. It's an 18 karat solid gold nib, clearly yellow gold. It has the Classic Pens logo on it, and it says Lambrew 18K 750M for medium. It's definitely a springy nib. I am not sure if I would really attach the epithet semi-flex to it, but it does offer some light variation, that's for sure. Interesting. Feed, ebonite, that's nice. People like ebonite feeds, has very good flow properties, and I haven't really had the pen railroad or anything, so that works well. Section, big. This is a large section. Again, I'll show you this, not in comparison to the LM1. This time I'll use the LB5. The LB5 has a Sailor King of Pen, or the King Prophet section, and you can see that the LB6 here has a really big, girthy section. I will come back to that in a second. Final thing I wanted to show you is the cartridge converter. Not that much to show, it's a cartridge converter. It draws up ink, does what it's supposed to do, and that's pretty much all there's to it. It's one of those cartridge converters that just pulls out, not one that screws in, so that's not that much to say about this. Okay, now just maybe if you're interested, the pen in hand, it's pretty massive. It's a big pen, it's fairly long, and it's definitely girthy. If you compare that to, say, the LB5, I'm just doing this because maybe people are interested in seeing the difference. That's definitely a big pen too. The main difference is the girth. It's not so much the length, as you can see here. They're practically the same size. So it really is the girth that makes the big difference. Okay. That covers the pen. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, the pen is a looker. As with all classic pens I have seen, they're beautiful. They're all stunning, whether it's, I'm just going to say the humble LM1, not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's a little bit small. It's a more normally sized pen, a number 6 nib. I mean, this is a very attractive pen, but it's just great. Even for a relatively simple pen, it's great. The LB5 is a pen that I absolutely love. That looks fantastic, based on the Sailor King of Pen. Looks great. And this pen is, I would say, in a class of its own. It's big, it's girthy. I like the facets, but you can get a round version if you like, as I said. I think it looks great. The diffusion bonded acrylic is supposed to be pretty much bulletproof. It's beautiful. I've seen a whole bunch. I've seen the blue, the purple, the green. I have seen the white. The red is one of my favorites. The brown is very warm. It's a very stable material, so it is an investment that should last. What makes this particularly interesting is, of course, the handwork involved. Handwork by Paul Rossi, who makes very nice pens. The barrel, the cap, the clip, the section. You are basically buying a handmade pen, and even the facets are handmade. So that's all great. Beautiful, great, big, oversized pen with a Bock nib, a number 8 nib that looks great. If this would have had a number 6 nib, it would have looked disproportionate, but I think this actually looks very good. What do I not like about it? Well, there's definitely some stuff that I don't like about it. One issue I ran into with the pen is that I love large pens. I love oversized pens. I don't have small hands. I love that. But for me, personally, this section is a bit too much. As I hold it, my fingers don't really touch at any point. I'll show you the LB5 in comparison. That's not a small section either, but everything touches. And the difference to me, I'm particularly pointing out that touching aspect of it all. I have found in the past that when I have a section that's so girthy that my fingers don't touch, my hand tires quickly when it's writing, and I've definitely experienced that with this pen. If I write for longer than 5 minutes straight, I start to feel my hand. And that's a bit of an issue, because you buy a pen to write with. Now, I don't know if that is unique to me, if other people have it. I have asked Aziza, who has smaller hands than I do, and she had the same thing. Now, of course, there are people, I know there's people out there who have like enormous hands. For them, this may not be an issue. But for me, this was a bit much. A bit too much girth. If the section would have been a little bit narrow or tapered a bit more, I probably would have found it more comfortable. It's a big pen and it doesn't post, so for those of you who really insist on posting, I'm doing this very carefully, but this is not really stable and it's not meant to be posted. Another thing that I didn't really like, it's not a giant problem, it's more of an aesthetic nature, is that I would love to see a classic pen that has a section that actually matches the barrel and or the cap, because it's black. Would this end cap be black, then maybe it would look a bit more balanced, but I just think it's a shame that if you have such a beautiful material, and probably add to the cost too, but it would be great if you could have the section in the same color or same finish or same material as the rest of the pen. I think that would just make for a more uniform looking pen, but as I said, I also assume that would add to the cost. As to the nib, as I said, it's described as semi-flex. To be honest, I found it a springy 18 karat nib. I'm not sure, and it's always difficult because what exactly constitutes flex? When do you call it flex? When you call it semi-flex? When you call it springiness? For semi-flex, I would expect a bit more line variation, but one thing is for sure, you definitely get out line variation. No doubts there. It is not a stiff nib, so in that regards it's not a misnomer. It's just that I would expect a little bit more of a semi-flex nib, but again, that could be maybe my definition. Okay, now the final thing we need to discuss is the price. Classic pens are not cheap, but you're talking highly limited editions, in this case especially. LM1 500 pens, LB6 50 pens, so that's already a factor 10, and then here 10 of each color. Okay, so you can picture big pen, interesting material, handmade, only 10 available. It's not cheap, and I just want to make sure I quote you the right prices. So if you buy this pen with a silver clip and trim in the non-faceted, so the round version, $2,800 US. If you do want the facets on that, it's $3,000, not $3,000 extra. The total is $3,000. If you want the vermeil clip and trim, as you see here, so silver covered with gold, then you are talking $3,000. And if you want that's for the round pen, and if you want the vermeil finish with the facets, so this pen as you see it, you would pay $3,200. So in no way is this a cheap pen. And that begs the question, so who is it for? Well, clearly people who don't mind spending that in a pen, but I mean beyond the obvious, I think what you're looking at here is a collector piece. A collector piece for which you pay a lot, and in that regard, that's nothing else from, say, Montblanc. They do the same thing with their special editions. It's the same you see on other pen companies when they launch highly collectible pens. Think Pen of the Year, Graf and Faber-Castell, etc. Price goes up. They're limited. In this case, highly limited. I mean, 10 is really not a lot, right? That is a very limited edition. And there's a lot of handwork involved. I mean, the creating of the facets, the polishing, I will say this, that is up to a very high level. The pen is, as you can see, I mean, it's catching the light, it's very shiny, I mean, it definitely, you look at it and you think, I want to have this. But, combined with the fact that, for me, the section is very fat and chubby, I consider this a collector piece that looks great on a desk that people can use for a signature, so a signature pen to do your signature. The semi-flex, or at least the springiness, definitely helps in that because you just add a bit of character. You can definitely write a letter with this, but for me personally it would be too tiresome to use for an extended period of time. For me the section is too girthy for that. But a beautiful pen without a doubt. Might you expect more for that price? Might you expect a piston filler? Yeah, I guess. But every time I mention this, people say, yes, but I actually like cartridge converters, they're easier to clean and all that. Yes, that's true. So, I mean, that's a discussion we're never going to get to the bottom of, as it were. Okay. I think I have talked on more than long enough about this pen. Interesting pen. I thank Andreas Lambro for the confidence in sending it to me. Obviously an expensive piece to just lend to someone, and the 00 at that as well. What we need to do is see how it writes. That's what's coming up next. High resolution pictures as well as measurements of the pen will be on the website sbrebrown.com. Let's see how it writes. I hope this was useful so far, and I'm glad to see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the classic pens. Lambro pens LB6. The Essence. The nib is that 18K medium, and the ink is Waterman Havana, the old Havana, not the new, whatever they call it, brown. Okay, bit of writing. One thing I had wanted to point out in the previous part of the video, but I forgot, is that this pen comes with this Bock nib, and unfortunately not with the interesting cross point that was offered as an option on the LB5, and which is a very fun nib to use. I suspect this has something to do with the fact that Mr. Nagahara of Sailor passed away, and he made those nibs, so it's getting harder to come by them. But still, it would be great if you had such a spectacular pen and you would have such an amazing nib on it. But okay, let's just continue with this. Pretty smooth writing. Do some fast writing. As you can see, no issues there. There's no real skips or anything, so that's very nice. Wetness, pretty good. Not a gusher, that's for sure, but it's definitely well tuned. And now there's that line variation that I know you're all waiting for. So the semi-flex gets you that. That's how far I am willing to push it. So it's really not bad. But I have seen other nibs, 18 karat nibs, that kind of did the same thing without being labeled semi-flex. But make no mistake, I mean, obviously there is clear line variation possible with this nib. Okay, then for those of you who enjoy such a thing, I don't know why I wrote every time, but reverse writing, maybe it was some Freudian thing coming out. I have to do this every time, even though I never do it. As you can see, reverse writing is completely possible, and it does bring the pen down from a good medium to a fine, I would say. So that's not bad at all. Okay, there you have it. The classic pens. LB6. Nice nib, fun to play around with. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.
Bye.